Okay, in this one, now we're on the boat. Okay, Othello's on a different boat. We're on the boat to Cyprus. So remember, this is Venice versus the Turks, Muslims, on the island of Cyprus. Okay, and they win very quickly. It's not a big fight, but it's worth thinking about the geography and the people at play. And again, if you're interested, you should look at Jerry Broughton's book about this Orient Isle, which is in the library, which is talking about the relationship of Islam with England at this time. And the characters there are now Desdemona, Emilia, Cassio, and Iago. And there's a kind of playful banter, something like you'd see, I don't know, in Much Ado About Nothing or any of the comedies. There's like jokes between them. And Iago is got really misogynistic and denigrating language and image of women. And Desdemona kind of spars with him because he's kind of putting Emilia down. So Desdemona stands up, and these jokes she doesn't find really funny. And Cassio shuts it down by saying, he's not really that smart. And then he twists it and looks to the audience and transforms Cassio's relationship to Desdemona in a really interesting way. So let's look at it. Come on, come on. You are pictures out of doors, bells in your parlors, wild cats in your kitchens, saints in your injuries, devils being offended, players in your housewifery, and housewives in your beds. Ah! Fie upon thee, slander. Just, a list of stereotypes and what she calls slanders towards women. And you can think AO3, perception of women, which is crucial. No, it's true, or else I'm a Turk. They're fighting the Turks. You rise to play and go to bed to work. Wow. He's got a very particular negative sexual idea. I've always found him very weird. I mean, even saying he's jealous about his wife is ridiculous. He seems to have a very strange attitude. But anyway, he's calling women basically prostitutes. Okay, what would you write of me if you should praise me? Oh, don't put me to it. For I am nothing if not critical. I am not merry, but I do guile the thing I am by seeming otherwise. Come, how wouldst thou praise me? Go for it. So Iago gives a kind of rhyming, funny speech. She that was ever fair and never proud, had tongue at will, and yet was never loud, never lacked gold, and yet went never gay, fled from her wish, and yet said, now I may. She that being angered, her revenge being nigh, bade her wrong stay, and her displeasure fly. She that in wisdom never was so frail, to change the cod's head for the salmon's tail. She that could think and ne'er disclose her mind, see suitors following and not look behind. She was a wight, if ever such wight were. To do what? To suckle fools and chronicle small beer. So even a woman, even a good woman, has little use. Even a good woman, it looks like. I think that's what's going on, and it's a joking kind of, the rhyme should indicate to you, it's a joking kind of thing. So, even a good woman is not worth that much, is the punchline, I think. Small beer. Ugh. Most lame and impotent conclusion. It's not really that funny. It's not really that insightful. It's not even that harsh. It's kind of like he's trying too hard. Too hard. It's a bad joke, maybe. I don't know, but it's just doesn't work. And she finds it pretty pathetic. That word impotent sticks out interestingly. I wonder that of him. Do not lean on him. Don't learn from him, Emilia, even though he's your husband. And then Cassio says, he speaks home, madam. You may relish him more a soldier than a scholar. That's a little joke. Iago's not smart. Iago is not smart, he says. And he's low. Soldier, he's not royal. He's not educated. He's not a scholar. Don't worry about him. That's a diss, and that stings Iago, because we know he doesn't like Cassio. He doesn't like that Cassio was promoted instead of him, and that really bugs him. So what he does, let me just get this here. The aside is now again to the audience. No one else can hear except the audience. And once again, it might be something you want to think about in terms of Iago's relationship with the audience. And if there are other characters in other plays that have those relationships. And this is pretty remarkable, because what he does is he sees Cassio kind of joking around and playing with Desdemona, and it's quite innocent, but he changes it for us. He reframes the scene. So he turns to the audience and he says, yeah. He takes her by the palm. Well said. Whisper, with as little web as this will I ensnare as great a fly as Cassio. This is enough to work with. This is enough to work with, okay? Smile on her, do. I will give thee in thine own courtship. You say true, 'tis so indeed. If such tricks as these strip you out of your lieutenantry, it had been better you had not kissed your 3 fingers so oft, which now again you are most apt to play the sir in. It's just revenge and strategy, and he's sharing it with us. This is going to strip him of his position. Very good. Well kissed. An excellent courtesy. 'Tis so indeed. Yet again your fingers to your lips, would they were clyster pipes for your sake. So again, it's this reframing of innocence for the audience, and it's kind of a dress rehearsal for what he's going to do with Cassio to Iago. And he makes us complicit. He makes the audience part of it. He's wooing us, he's drawing us into the strategy. It's creepy. And it can be, you can have a lot of fun with this scene. And how you play? Oh, I'm sorry. So hidden on the ship is Rodrigo, and again, he's really funny. He spent all his money, he's in disguise, and Iago's plan is to get Rodrigo to pick a fight with a drunk Cassio, and that brawl is what eventually gets Cassio fired. Mark me with what violence she first loved the more, but for bragging and tell her fantastical lies. Again, he pumps Rodrigo up. The violence of their love and just a bunch of bragging and fantastical lies. That's really interesting, actually. What an interesting reading. And will she love him still for prating? Let not thy discreet heart think it. Her eye must be fed. Creepy. He's so creepy. Her eye must be fed. Look on beauty. And what delight can she have looking at a devil? Again, devil. Racist. Whatever pleasure she's getting, it's going to eventually end. She's going to realize he's a devil. When the blood is made dull with the act of sport. There's sport again. When she gets bored, there should be again to inflame it and give satiety, a fresh appetite, loveliness and flavor, sympathy in years, manners, beauty. Okay? It's going to be you, Rodrigo. Young, manners, class. You're gonna wake her appetite up. See, remember, men are so frightened. They're both thrilled at and frightened at the sexual hunger or possibilities of women. Here we see that completely, I would say. All which the Moor is defective in. Look, the Moor is old. he doesn't have good manners, he's not beautiful, it's over for him. Come on. Compared to you, forget about it. Now, for want of these required conveniences, her delicate tenderness will find itself abused, begin to heave the gorge, disrelish, and abhor the more. Nice. Very nature will instruct her in it and compel her to a second choice. She will be repulsed because it's unnatural for a white woman to be with a black man. That's how this racism works here in the text. She will find him disgusting and repellent eventually. This, people, even critics like Coleridge, find the idea of being in love with a blackamoor just like shocking. I don't know who else, if it was Bradley. We're going to look at A.C. Bradley and Lewis as well. The interracial aspect of this play cannot be underestimated, because the play kind of holds a mirror in a way to our cultural understanding of race, desire, sex, racism, stereotypes of black men, stereotypes of what it means for a black man to be with a white woman, all sorts of stereotypes of race and class and gender are at play in the play. And Shakespeare's so ahead of us. He's really able to dramatize it. And the play's changed its meaning remarkably in these different contexts. And those are all things for you that I'd like you to consider.